What's good? What's popping? How it is? What it be to everybody out there in the internet and on the X space? This is your boy Randy. This your girl right here, Miss India.
What it
And
do?
you know what to do. Anyways, we're doing something different here for the Purple Townhouse. The reason being is because we were supposed to do a space today and tomorrow, but however, due to time constraints and live, we decided to change the format a little bit and still give you our insight of what we're going to celebrate today. 27 years ago, today to this date, Emancipation was created by our boy Prince. So what we're going to do, we have a few questions that the four of us, me, India, Perla, and Chris, all four of us will have creative questions that we're going to answer throughout this entire video. So, India, you ready to answer some questions?
I'm ready to celebrate 27 years of emancipation and do some deep diving because these questions are amazing, phenomenal. We have some really great brains in our crew, and I'm really thankful for that because we get to nerd out and geek out. So let's get into some questions.
Let's get into some questions. Let's go. Let's do it. So the first question, India, I'm gonna throw this to you.
All right.
Prince said several times that you hear liberation and freedom in the music on Emancipation. And what track do you hear the liberation the most?
I'm gonna have to go with Sleep Around because first, for one, that is one of I think it's the longest song on the album and one of the longer songs he's done in his catalog. I mean, it's like almost 10 minutes. I mentioned the fact, I think I spoke about this on Twitter before, but the fact that he's able to build on this song, starting with drum patterns and then moving all the way up to orchestral elements and then horn elements, and then, having the horn heads be on that and it not stall, is just phenomenal. And for the fact that Warner Brothers was really giving him a time limit on his music, and he just defies all these odds on this one track. And I remember listening to, I think the engineer was H.M. Buff, who worked on this Sleep Around with Prince. I think he did an interview with the Violet Reality, and I was just so intrigued on how much of a task it was to audio engineer that whole shebang. It was literally a whole production. I think about it in a freeing sense of how Broadway is, where you could just be yourself beyond measures, and Prince was able to do that within the confines of music and musical instrumentation. So I feel like not only is it a house song, which is ultimate liberation to me. I mean, house music is, you're able to let your body be free in so many ways that you never thought you could, just dance the way you want to. I mean, there's so many styles of dance that come with house that just I equate to freedom, that just bring me to that very moment. And I would just have loved to hear that in the clubs. I know, listen, if you had that at the Palladium or Club USA or the Tunnel or something, that would have been a moment. Or Lime, was it? I think it's Limelight that they had, that was a church. But it was this club, this banging club. I just would have loved to hear at the peak 90s NYC nightclub scene. And I just think, again, the lyrical content has to do with women being free as well. They can be as sexually liberated as they want to as well. And then Prince is this, hey, I'm this guy, I want a Mac type person. So he has that spirit in him as well. And even though he's turning more of a conservative edge and starting a family and starting a new chapter, he's that wildness, I was in my, what do you say, I was wild in my younger days. That's still present. It still exists. It's kind of this mid-conservative, but I'm also this, I'm still that cat type of energy, and I really love it. And I think that's just ultimate freedom. And of course, the title of track Emancipation is literally break the chains, there's just those two tracks in my mind just represent absolute freedom. But I just really resonate more with the Sleep Around because of the fluidness it has.
Sleep Around that track though, man. That joint's just straight funky. I remember you talked about it earlier. You talked about it's a 9-minute jam, 10-minute jam that doesn't get boys, doesn't flatline. It keeps going. It doesn't make you lose attention. So
Exactly.
I see
If
where
the
you're going with
DJ
Sleep
were
Around.
to run it back, I wouldn't be mad. That's like one of the few songs where I feel like if the DJ ran back that 10-minute song, I would dance the same all over again. And then I was thinking about the fact of like in a future Paisley Park event, hearing that in Paisley Park, like, or even if he had played that at Paisley Park at one point, how liberating that had to be for just folks that let their guard down in Paisley. You know, that's like the embodiment of Paisley Park to me as well, because Paisley Park is a place where you could just be yourself,
Yeah.
and no matter where you come from, we're not always able to be our whole selves walking this earth. And it's, you know, I don't know, it just makes me think of all of that stuff. But I don't want to get too deep into whatever
So
philosophy I'm into right now. But you
yeah.
know, that's my reasoning. I think that's my answer, sleep around. What
Sleep
about
Around.
you, Randy? Sleep around. Okay,
Me,
you agree?
well,
Well, let me hear your
hold
logic. What do
on
you
now,
feel?
hold on. I would say the track that I hear the most liberation from has to be Holy River. I feel that's his most
Um,
liberation track. The reason being, it is a very expansive song. It's about what 6.5 minutes. But however, he's given us very semi autobiographical story and the song, and looking back into history of all that. I guess you can say when you started from the beginning, like he was lost, and the realm of the world and looking for different vices to pretty much answer what he was looking for, what he was trying to find, which is again the holy river, in quotation of his freedom, his escapism from the music business, from being controlled, from being told to do this and do that. And I think in that song, he is finding his spiritual answer to what's going on right now, which is leaning at the time, leaning more towards Jesus and God and the Christian aspect of that. You're being reborn again. If you go down to this holy river, you swim in it, you'll be reborn and you'll be delivered from the evils that you set yourself around, right? Because we look back in the
yeah,
history, Prince was battling a lot with the record industry, with the music industry. That did take a lot out of him. He worked hard during the gold experience era, touring nonstop, dropping tracks, dropping music, but still battling with the media because of the whole name change and the whole F Warner Brothers. I'm gonna do my own thing. It took a lot out of him. So the fact that now in Emancipation he had this song Holy River, where now he's telling us, hey, I went through this. Now I found my spiritual rebirth. Now I feel free. I feel free to say this. Because the only time he said Jesus in the track was Thunder. Shout out to Dallas President Super Deluxe Edition, get that.
right.
But the second time he says Jesus is in Holy River. So to me, those certain
Yeah.
things stand out to say that
Yes.
he's exploring his spirituality. No matter how many times he's exploring spirituality, he's leaning back on towards Jesus
Yeah.
since 2001. But I feel that's his most liberating track on the album.
I love that. I love the fact that you expounded upon the point that those battles that we go through in life ultimately bring us close to our higher power, whatever that may look like for somebody. And it changed for Prince in a couple of instances, but you're able to track his journey just by him being able to mention the word in such boldness and then name a song Holy River. Like this is
Right.
clear connection to Jesus, God, the Holy Trinity, all of it. And so it's so refreshing to just see him not care, not have to use metaphors like, the elevator. No, we can directly, and then we're in a time in the 90s where we can directly call out this stuff. It doesn't have to be hidden, and I think that ultimately brought him closer to the Black community as well, because we know how formative, you know, spirituality and religion is within our music, and that's the
Yeah.
very foundations of Black music in general. I mean, I would say American music pretty much, because Negro spirituals and all of that just are transcendence of those art forms. Well, at least the current modern music is transcendent of those art forms. So I really love that. I love that she took the spiritual route. Me, I
Yeah,
took the club party route. But yes,
yeah.
that's a beautiful breakdown. I'm gonna
Yeah,
give you your props. That
hey,
was
thank you,
amazing.
thank you, thank you. But again, the whole spiritual and club aspect all works hand in hand because in the
It
club, you're
does.
dancing, you're releasing your
Yeah,
energy, and you're celebrating about something. Well, in spiritual, you are
exactly.
still celebrating, but you're doing it in a different method. So I wanted to
Yeah,
touch
it's a
that a little bit.
spiritual awakening. It's a ritual, that we've done
Exactly,
for people. So
exactly. Okay, second question. All right, let's go to the second question. Prince created
right.
this album purely based on ideas, again, liberation, freedom, and sex.
Mhm.
And considering his contract with Warner Brothers, how do you think this album was executed? Do you think the 3 disc release was significant in telling his listeners how he felt?
I absolutely think it was strategic for him to do 3 disc. And that's what he set out. That was his intention. He was going to make each disc like an hour long, right? To the T. So I think going back to his history with Warner Brothers, when we talk about, I had brought this up earlier with Sleep Around, the length of albums, it was controlled. That was part of his whole debacle with them. And why it turned out to be this ugly battle is because they were literally trying to censor him and condense him into something he was not. And so I think for him to be able to do this independently, um, I'll go back to my point of, let me go back to the point of, with under Warner Brothers, the most he could do was like 2 album, dual disc situation, which was Sign of the Times. With this, he's able to go, being independent, he's able to go further. And if he felt that was the themes in his life at the time, he was able to just evolve from that. And I guess I feel as though it is extremely representative of what he wanted to embody in the moment and what this era was about for him professionally and personally.
I do believe that releasing Emancipation 3 disc album was important to Prince just because he just wanted to say, I did this.
Yeah.
And he did say during the promotion, this is my life's work. This is what led me to create Emancipation now. Right. So I do believe that he wanted to create a long album with he thought there were hits, and I do believe there are hits on
Right.
the album. We'll get to a question later on about promotion and all that, but I do feel like, especially how quick he recorded Emancipation too. I mean, I think he recorded this
Yeah.
really quickly, and and during the time he did shut down Paisley Park, so he was
Yeah.
really focused on like, let me just hone in what I got to create.
And he cleared house too. He remodeled Paisley Park and cleared
Yeah,
house. He was like, everybody that
yes.
doesn't need to be here, you don't need to be here, because I'm cultivating not only this family environment for the future, but also this creative environment that feeds into our whole family dynamic. So it's like, you know,
And I've never been to Paisley, and you can attest to that. Uh, I guess when you listen to Emancipation, people have said you can feel the energy of Paisley Park. And I feel
mhm.
like that was the change around him. And I feel like this was his changing album that you saw the evolution of him at
Mhm.
the time becoming a family man and now getting his freedom from the music industry where he can just do whatever that he wants to do, say whatever he wants to do, play songs and put out albums that who cares about the length? As long as you're jamming with me and you focus and you're here with me and going on my journey, I want to give you the best of the best that I can. So I feel like Emancipation was strategically and personally done by him, and it was intention to be the way it is.
Yeah, I have to say, like, Emancipation is a fairly family friendly Prince album.
It is.
Like, if you think about it, that thought just hit me now, and I'm like, out of any album in Prince's discography, musicology, Emancipation, it um I would say Artificial Age, like a lot
I
of
would
the
say that too. Yeah.
transformative albums, those transformative periods in his life, like drastic ones, are family friendly because you could just see the wholeness in him, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not to say he wasn't wholesome. He didn't have bits of wholesomeness in his other works because
Right.
he's human, but I think you see him at his purest form in a lot of these areas, especially One Night Alone is another family friendly album. Like
Mhm.
you just see him.
Well, don't play Avalanche.
Yeah, right. Right. You can see him in his clearest mind, his, his peak creativity. And this will ruffle a lot of 80s fans, feathers, but this is peak Prince as far as maturity and growth
Yes,
goes. You
yes,
track
yes.
his growth with this album. And I go back to saying, the mix of conservative but still young, and he's still in like 30s, almost approaching 40, so he's not like this old cat. He's mature, but he's refined in a way.
Yeah, yeah. And you can hear it in the music too. You can
Of
hear it in the music.
course. And then I always say, like, he had to make those steps. He had to make that double disc for Sign of the Times for it to happen, for
Hmm.
Emancipation to happen. He had to give birth to the Dream Factory and Crystal Ball to follow up. Like, these are all preludes to, what Prince was building up to, his momentum. And, even though we got Crystal Ball after the fact, literally directly after this album, I think Emancipation had to happen in order for Crystal Ball to happen. Like, there's so many stones that Prince was so ahead of his time that he was ahead of himself at points, and he had to backtrack and make sure I fill in these spots so I can get to this spot so it could be the best that I can. And by
Hmm.
him doing, promo, we're going to get into promo for Emancipation, he was able to get an idea of what he could do for Crystal Ball as far as distribution goes, which is great, because Emancipation, the distribution was a problem. So
We'll get on to all of
yeah,
that. All
yeah.
right, so next question. As a result of his independence,
Mm-hmm.
Prince embarked on his most audio-visual promotion tour at the time, the embodiment of the spirit of an entrepreneur. What was your favorite promotional moment of this era? And slash, extra question, if he kept promoting, will the album be a success?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to answer the second question first because that's fresh on
Okay,
my mind.
yeah,
I 100% believe if he still kept on that, everybody knows, especially in the social media age now, if we're looking at the internet age, promotion is everything. Going to those radio stations back then, making those rounds in stations, he was doing very well. I have to say, like, for him to be on Rosie, for like, these are platforms you would never have seen Prince on, like, period. The only thing he's done, like, up to that point that was major was like award shows and Arsenio Hall and all of that
yep,
stuff.
that
He
was it.
really gets it, and then he was silent for like a couple of years
He
because of
was.
his battle with Warner Bros. So for us to see him on Oprah, like, sit down, Maite, like, with all of that, and how mixed you feel about that, it is whatever. But like, for him to have that 101 and personal, like, we get to see Prince, the personal side of Prince. We
Yes.
get to see the openness that marriage has brought with him. And that just attracts you. I know for me personally, I love watching interviews. I love to get into the psyche of all of the artists that I adore, and I cherish their work. So I get to see your thought process, and I think that brings you closer to your audience. So to say that if he kept on that run, I believe if he had continued to promote well into the to like 97, even tip of 98ish, we so much material, it could have done better, and it could have had another peak. um I also understand why it was stopped, because of the personal turmoil he was going on that time. And Prince, also, on a side note, just an artistic note, he moves eras just rapidly. So by the time he was doing Emancipation stuff, he was already on Crystal Ball. So he wasn't even like, or New Power Soul, like,
New Power
that was
Soul. Yeah.
both of those things. He was on Larry Graham, Shaka Khan's project. Like, he was had his hands on so many things. So he was just like, let me just move on personally and professionally from this. And I feel like it could have benefited him to push that release out a little bit more. But again, the personal pain that is behind that, I understand that it was time to move on for that, for him to, experience some more growth and process what happened. Um, So that answer is kind of like a double-edged sword because of the personal
Yeah,
pain he was going through, and then you're like, but
yeah,
professionally, in an entrepreneurial standpoint, it would have been great for you to keep pushing that.
yeah.
Um, I will say I would have loved for him to do more radio interviews. I think that would have been more
That'd
beneficial.
have been
He,
cool, especially 97, yeah, 96,
yeah.
97, yeah.
I mean, like, look, he was doing vegetarian times. Like, he was doing a lot of stuff. You're like, what? But it made sense because, again, he changed. He was making so many lifestyle changes in his life. And he wanted, again, family friendly, the Muppets, which was I'm going to say that was my favorite moment is when he did the Muppets. I cherish that. Like, that literally makes my inner child scream. I love it.
Oh,
I love seeing Prince in overalls. Like, that is the most insane thing ever for him to act like this country hillbilly dude like that. It was lightweighted fun, like, and this is something he was wanting Amir to watch, God rest his soul.
yes. God
he
rest his soul.
wanted he wanted his future children to see this, and it just pours out through that. Even when he was singing Starfish and Coffee, like those moments, it's just, you're like, oh, I would have loved to see Prince as a father because they just seeped through
Yeah.
um, the parental, unit in him. And I also love the Oprah interview because of how much we were able to get into his psyche. Again, he was very open with us. And those are just two moments that I loved during the promotion. And I also just love the amount of physical merch they had. Like, didn't they have Emancipation underwear? Like, bizarre
Yes, it
stuff that
did.
was
Yeah, it's
like,
very bizarre.
like
It
the
was.
the borders tape of the Holy River, like the free borders tape that you got with that. Like, all of that was spectacular. Like, he literally, I don't know, I don't know specific names on his promotional team, but those ideas were flowing in, and it would have thrived in this environment, because we're not pushing units per se now,
Yeah,
but it's all about merch, it's all about appearances. That's
yeah.
literally what everything is today. It's no longer, oh, album sales, it's all streams, and then you don't make that much revenues from streams, so then you go on
You don't.
tour. Then he
Yeah.
was hitting these pockets of tour, like he was going to Baltimore, he was going all these different places that he never like really inhabited before.
Jones
And
Beach. When I see down the settlers, I'm like,
yeah,
Jones Beach. You went to Jones Beach? Interesting.
exactly. So he's like in this like independent circuit, and it's just thriving. So I just would have loved to see more. I feel like it was cut short. I do feel like it's
I
cut
agree.
short, but reasonably so, so.
I'm going to echo what you have been saying as well. I agree with you. I feel like if the personal life went other way, I think he would have promoted this album fully. And again, like I said earlier, not just because the album, what resonated him the most with the album was not just because he got out of his contract. Again, he was building a family. That album was once it dedicated to me, but you felt the energy that, yo, this is because of I'm having a baby. The music sounds more adult. I'm becoming an adult as well. And that was shown through the album. And I felt that, especially with the first single, Bet You by Golly Wow, right? That's different. He doesn't do covers. He's coming out with the first single of that. That already told you, yo, I'm coming in differently, and I'm coming more of a. I'm going through this adulting, and this adulting is showing you I'm going to start a family. This is my energy right now. Old school
Real
tracks that
things
I
I
grew up when
want.
I was, you know what I mean? Like this, is what I grew up when I was a kid. I want the new just generation right now who have kids who are like me right now having kids to remember this song. I'll say my favorite one. I do like it. I do like the Today Show that he had with Brian Gumbo.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I
That
love
was
that.
funny. When he looked at you like, you go,
Would you ever wear my shoes? Let me see. Hell no.
funny. But
Like, would
again,
you
like you
ever wear
said,
pleated khakis? Like,
he's like, pleated khakis, what is that? And he
no.
brought my Tay, and
He was sitting at the arm of the chair, like it was
yes, it was a
beautiful.
beautiful moment to see in his life that You saw growing up Prince, you
Yeah.
know,
And you know what
still
it was
make
like? It was like
Mhm.
just being there at a cookout. Like that's what you
Yeah.
would see at a
Yeah,
cookout for family
exactly.
gathering. That's literally relatable, in
Yeah.
so many ways. It was
So
so intimate.
I agree. Yo, it was. And you felt it watching, and then throughout again, like Muppets,
Yeah.
Rosie's show, shoot, even the Chris Rock show.
Yes.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, he was promoting Face Down. He
Yeah.
was from Emancipation on that show. So
Yeah.
to tell you that, yeah, he used all his energy with the promotion of Emancipation, but I felt like, yeah, it was cut short because of the personal thing. But if he kept going, I think the album became more of a success than it was. Even though, again, it did falter a little because of EMI and it shut down. Because of not because of the album, but it was during the album that it shut down. But again, label money wise or otherwise, if he kept going, it would have been a success.
Of course. And he was still making like a whole gang of money. Like he was
He
profiting
was.
because he had majority of the cut. Versus, they would really give you 1 cent on an album. He
Yep.
had the whole, he had the whole dollar. He wasn't playing. So,
Watch that
um,
Vibe 98 interview with
yeah,
Sinbad when he was like, "Yo, I'm selling for $10. I'm getting
yeah,
$10 back."
exactly,
You feel me?
exactly.
So you're right on that. All right,
Yeah, and
last.
then there's also the fact that those were. I want to mention that he was being innovative. So of course, there's a lot of room for mistakes and mishaps and hiccups. And he was paving this path on his own. I think there was only one other group at the time that was figuring out the same steps parallel to his. And I think it
Mhm.
was like some rock group that had a website and all of that stuff up. But like these were 3 separate discs that could have gone 3 separate years.
Agreed.
So there's also that factor. But those were just 2 points I forgot to mention. But yeah.
All right, Indy, you ready for the last question?
Yeah, let's get into the last
All right.
question.
At this current point in your life, in this life's journey, your life's journey, what disc of emancipation resonates with you the most right now that you're in right now?
I'm gonna say this too.
This too.
I'm gonna
Why is
say
it?
too. I feel like there's a lot of love in there, and that's where I'm at in life is
Definitely not
loving
love.
myself, loving the people around me, loving on my family. And, after experiencing traumatic grief, I think the the way to healing is love. And with love opens the pathway to so many other points in your life of self-actualization, self-awareness, and so on and so forth. But if you don't love yourself, you can't do any of that. If you don't love other people around you, those things will come. So you have to mirror what you want in your life. And what I want in my life is love. And that's where I am with it. Soul
I like that.
Sanctuary, I think it's a beautiful depiction of
Oh,
where I am.
very beautiful. I like that.
Mhm.
So more you're more in that spiritual love, celebrating you, celebrating whatever comes with love.
Yeah.
Whatever,
And
yeah.
even just, yeah, even on a platonic level or romantic
Yeah,
level,
of
everything.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, all the
Familial,
levels of love. Yeah,
unconditional love. Agape is where I am.
get boom.
Unconditional love.
I like that. I like that. That's this too. Agape love. I like that. I like that. I would say for me, right now in the time of my life, this three. This three is where I'm at right now. The reason being, I feel like this three it covered a lot of topics, right? It covered the new world that we're facing right now. It talked about us being in control in terms of slave, and then you had Joe Joints where it's funky and chill, but also sexy as well.
Yeah.
And then lastly, going right back to spirituality once again. I feel like in my life, I'm juggling all these aspects, spirituality, and juggling what's going on in the world and my mind thoughts on that as well, but also appreciating the old school classics, the old school teaching, the old school methods, while getting face down and have somebody try to tell me something otherwise. You know, I'm just saying I can't repeat the song here, but I also have that energy too as well. So it feels like this three was like a cultivation of everything that was going on in the first 2 discs. And I feel I'm there at that life where I'm juggling a lot of things. I'm talking about a lot of things. But at the end of the day, it's all about the funk with my truth. It comes out liberation at the end of the track, the emancipation. Whatever my emancipation is, that's where I'm going to be in under that purple rain. Whatever that purple rain is, that's what I'm going to be in. So that is where
I
I'm
know
at right
that's
now.
right. I love it. The balance. That's what it is.
The balance, yeah. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the balance of life. Metamorphosis, as my therapist will say.
I'm working on it.
There you go.
We're in the spirituality love fest, and then we gotta get to
You know,
balance.
I'm in a not really love sexy mode, but I'm in an emancipation mode.
Yeah.
I'm in emancipation
Love
mode.
sexy. I think love sexy is an ongoing theme in Prince's life. It's not just
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is definitely an ongoing theme in his life.
just
He hear it.
evolves.
Yes, I agree. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. For questions, we appreciate y'all very much, and we'll see y'all soon in the next space. All right.
Thank you for these amazing questions too. You just hosting, doing your thing. Y'all better let us know if you want Randy to be hosted. Look, he need to come in and do.
Hold up. Not playing. No, I would love to host another space. But anyways, y'all, I will see y'all soon.
All right.
Peace out.
Stay tuned for part 2 with
Part 2.
Perla and Chris.
Yeah.
Mm.